This is Jilliana Ranicar-Breese, and I'm here in Paris with Terrance
Gelenter.
Gelenter. Yes, it's not easy to pronounce the name. Now, Terrance has been, who's American, of course, has been living in Paris for how many years now?
Almost 10 years.
10 years. Tell me, what brought you to Paris?
Well, the wise guy answer is I came for the girls, and you've been to my Sunday salon, so you know it's partially true. But the reality is I had been coming to Paris off and on for about the mid-90s, having come in the 70s when I was single for a few times. And now I've been married, divorced, children were grown.
Been there, done that.
Well, not entirely that, and I wouldn't dismiss it so cavalierly. But I found that I felt at home. I felt chez moi.
Absolutely.
And I was feeling less and less at home in America. Long before Donald got elected, it wasn't satisfying me intellectually. I wasn't meeting people that really interested me, that I felt comfortable with. And I started coming here every year, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. And I realized over time I didn't want to be 70 and single or dead and say I should have moved to Paris. So at 60, I sold my 2,000 volume library for $1 a book. Took me a year to make that decision.
Wow.
And I came. And it was difficult in the beginning.
You didn't know anyone?
Well, I knew a few people. I had my friend John Baxter, the writer. But, you know me, and it doesn't take me long to meet people.
No, that's for sure.
And so I began to build out a network, and then the activities that I do professionally put me in touch with people in the restaurant business and the theater business. And
we'll have to talk about that,
sure.
Of course. But you are a journalist, aren't you, by profession?
I'm a salesman by profession.
You can sell ice to the Eskimos.
Well, that's what they say. But I started out in the schmata business, or the garment business, as the non-Yiddish speakers would say.
Yeah.
And because if you're Jewish from Brooklyn, you're either a doctor or a lawyer or a garment salesman. So I missed round 1 and round 2. So my father said there are a lot of starving lawyers, and you're not going to do 10 years worth of school to become a doctor. So I was a salesman. And then I segued into the wholesale jewelry business, and then I segued into the Hispanic media business. And I was selling advertising to corporations that wanted to reach the predominantly Mexican-American market through a number of bilingual and Spanish language newspapers.
But you studied Spanish, of course.
I met my beautiful ex-wife at I. Magnin department store. She was petite, L'Oreal 33 blonde, elegantly dressed. I thought she was French. I approached her, as I've known to do. Discovered she spoke no French and no English, and I spoke no Spanish. But lo and behold, a year later, I was married and inherited 2 children. A guy who never wanted to be married and never wanted children. So at home, we only spoke Spanish.
Yeah.
It was almost Germanic in the way it was insisted. And the reason being, I actually come from a very privileged family in Mexico and didn't want their children to go back to Mexico and have that Spanglish mixture of inappropriate Spanish.
Right.
So that they retained to this day speak beautiful, fluent Spanish. And I was able to learn the language. And I think even more importantly, and it was very helpful in my migrating here to Paris, to understand the cultural differences. So I not only spoke the language, I transculturated. And in part of my career in the Hispanic media business, I was for 8 years in 6 newspapers, Guillermo Medina. I wrote a weekly movie column, and I was the most widely syndicated Latino film critic in America.
But you never actually lived in Mexico?
Never lived in Mexico.
Oh.
Or you might call our home Mexico.
Yes. Wonderful. Where was your wife from originally?
Guadalajara.
Oh, yes, you said. Yes, I've been there. Okay, well, that's... And do you still write in Spanish for the media?
No, I can't. I can write in Spanish, but, it's... I'm much better at speaking languages, French, Spanish, Italian, English.
Yeah.
A lot of the construct and a lot of the subtlety of my speaking is lost in the writing, because I've never formally studied any language. I'm a fluent French speaker who studied 2 years in junior high school. So my last class was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was 14,
you're like
57
me.
years ago.
You can't learn in a class. It's impossible.
No, I can't. And I can't learn in that dogmatic, structured fashion. I
Definitely.
absorb, almost like the way a child learns.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and visually, you learn visually.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, wonderful. So basically, you came to Paris and you set up in a cafe, didn't you? I mean, where did you get this concept from? It's wonderful.
Well,
I came across you about 3 years ago in the EasyJet magazine. They had a profile, and it happened to be you. And I thought, oh, that's a man I'd like to meet. And you were at that stage at the De Magot, I believe. But
well, I was at the floor.
But we met at the floor.
But no longer. I have issues with the management at the floor.
Yeah. They didn't give you a cup of coffee.
No. It's no reason to trash them entirely. I'm much happier to De Magot, the former manager at the floor. Francis Bonneau is there, and it's a much more welcoming scenario. And as you know, on Sundays, I'm at the Select.
Exactly.
One of the 4 great cafes in Montparnasse.
That's my old haunt.
But it came about, the Sunday salon at the Select, like much of my life, organically, inadvertently, if you will.
Happenstance.
I had launched this website, paris-expat.com, back in 2003, and I was publishing one newsletter a month to 500 subscribers.
And I was one of them. And a very interesting newsletter it is.
Thank you. And now it's 4 times a week to 8,000 subscribers. New Yorker magazine, New York Times readers, maybe they're reading the Financial Times Weekender, a sophisticated readership who likes to travel and is very Euro-focused. But I would say one day I just threw out offhand, if you're in Paris on Sunday, I have my office in those days at the Café Flore between 11 and 12:30. If you're in town, drop by. Just threw it out there. And I'd begun to meet a few Frenchies who were at the cafe, and certain Americans were around, and a few Americans started to become regulars. And then one day I didn't show up, didn't tell anyone, and 2 women from San Francisco were furious with management. Where is he? So I painted myself into the corner. I'm obligated to be there on Sunday. And but it's great fun. And as you were there last Sunday, as you see, I had my harem of 6 women, including you. A few men showed up later on. But I think what I've created unconsciously is a space where particularly women are comfortable in this world that we're living in today. I am your American friend in Paris. If you know no one, several people that you met but came for the first time have become regulars. Terrance is there. He's going to greet you. He's going to talk to you.
So it isn't our man in Havana then?
No, he's going to introduce you to people, as you've already made several friends today, 2 of whom came to hear you perform, 3 to see you perform last night. So it's become a community, almost ad hoc, and it's very gratifying, and I think people appreciate the ease and the comfort and the opportunity.
Definitely, I think it's friends. Wonderful.
But it wasn't, it wasn't a Harvard Business School idea. I think it's a little bit of an extension of who I am. I tend to be very connective with people. I like people. I like to enjoy and embrace different thoughts, different ideas, and create in this very organic fashion a space where discussion, and it's not exclusively politics, because living here, and trashing America can become a boring subject after a while.
But it's social networking, and obviously, exchanging business cards, and then people follow it through. But they're not actually sitting, debating, or intellectualizing. No. There are other groups for that.
Sure.
Yes.
No, we're not immune to having an intelligent discussion about something political. But I think, for example, Valerie.
Yeah.
Valerie and Anne had met on Sunday. Now they're best buddies, and they're 2 single women living in Paris, hanging out and going to museums and activities together. I think a lot of that has come about.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, we'll continue that in part 2. Thank you very much, Terrance.
Thank you.